I think another cool option that locally could happen is with all of the dogs that are already in the help shelter. You know, you have volunteers that come and they only get like maybe 1 or 2 walks a day, like if they're lucky. I think they should do a program where those that are in our current county jail could, like those are obviously that are doing better in jail than, you know, ones that could run. And do a program where either they go pick up some dogs and take them inside the jail to have, like they do that at prisons and other places, or they take the prisoners out to that help shelter to walk them and play with all the different dogs for like a couple hours. And I think that is something that this town could look into, because it just makes me sad that dogs are...
that's kind of therapy for both, you know, the dog and the prisoner, essentially.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of Dear Dilemma. We hope your weekend was good. We hope you had a great 4th of July. Hope you stayed safe.
Yes.
And we hope those fireworks didn't bother you like they do us.
Because we're grumpy old women.
We are grumpy. Hannah, you have a new submission for us, so what is it?
I do. So this one is specifically talking about Wayne County, so Richmond, Indiana area where we are located. So I do apologize if this is like not something applicable to your county, but I do think that it
might be.
Probably will be, yes. So it says, can we talk about the animal crisis here in Wayne County and how the city keeps paying Newcastle Shelter to take our animals, but ultimately the money should be going towards a shelter here in our own county? And why did we pay a lady thousands of dollars to survey our city and then tell us that there wasn't a problem when clearly there is? Someone needs to bring attention to this dilemma because it needs brought to light.
It is a big crisis in our town, I think. I mean, besides the drug epidemic that we have, I think strays are right underneath that if they don't both tie for it, because it is, you can drive in our town and you can't go maybe a couple streets without seeing probably like maybe a stray dog. It is going to get to the point where when I went to Honduras, like that's just a normal, there's just stray dogs, like there are stray cats, like that's just a thing there. And I'm like, you know, when I went, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to take all these dogs home. And they're like, don't touch the dogs, they're strays. And I was like, oh, okay. That's how I feel like it's getting in Wayne County, specifically Richmond, I'm sure surrounding little towns. But it is a big problem. I think things in our town are so focused on silly things that we shouldn't even be worried about or putting money towards. And I'm not going to say the bike trail, because that I don't think that was through the city. I think that was through the state or something. Maybe. I could be wrong. It's also useless, and I did see a car for the first time drive on it, and I was like driving next to them like this.
Like, what are you doing?
Like, what are you doing? But I do think that our money could go towards building a new animal shelter, because ours is so old. They do the best that they can to keep up on it. But I will say, you'll know I won the lottery when a anonymous donation of a brand new huge animal help shelter opens up. And what's sad is you can go on their page to look at all the dogs, and there are a lot of like pit bulls and pit bull mixes. Yeah. And pit bulls get such a bad rep for the breed that they are, and I've been around some of the most lovable pit bulls. But it is like, it's weird because you see stray cats and you're like, whatever, stray cat, like, let's move on. When I see a dog, I'm like, I gotta pull over. Like, I just got one the other day, last weekend, and luckily he had just walked out of his gate at his house. And the guy was like, oh my gosh. And he was old little thing. He was like, wah, wah. And I was like, come here, boy. He's like, walking slow. But I'm always, if there is one, I'm like praying, please have a collar on with the name. A few Christmases ago, Christmas Eve, I come home. It's so cold outside, like below freezing. I'm pulling in my garage. The stray dog comes into my garage. And I'm like, well, one, please don't attack me. It was so scared. It was so lovable. And these people, which gave me the idea, they were from out of town, and they, on the collar, had their phone numbers and their names, both of the people. Yeah. So I was able to call and say, I have your dog. And they were like, oh my gosh, we're visiting from blah, blah, blah. Like, thank you so much. Like, we would have been devastated. It was so cold outside. So we do that now when we go on vacation. I got tags. So if they were to get loose, like,
they know who to call. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm rambling, but I do think that it is such a big crisis. There's only so many people in this town that are truly, they're not even involved in it. They're just angels on earth that are helping, like, if you see a stray animal, 10 times out of 10 people are like, call this person. And locally, like, it would be like me and you, we can only do so much.
Yeah.
You can only take in so many animals, you can only help so much, you can only find so many foster homes. Richmond, get it together. Don't own an animal if you don't want it. And I will say, in my past, I have gotten rid of like a dog. I think I've gotten rid of 2 dogs. One my dad made me get rid of, and the second one I personally chose for college. I just wasn't in the right headspace, but I made sure they were going to good, loving homes.
Yeah.
And that I feel bad on forever, so you can come at me for that. But I wasn't going to just let them out. I feel like people just dump them.
Well, that's what I was going to say is, like, I think that's what's so frustrating in our county is that they're just dumped a lot. Like, people drive out to the country and they just dump them. And actually, my husband and I used to live kind of out in the country, like the outskirts of town, and we had just moved here, and my husband almost hit our Moosey dog that we ended up adopting. He was so like, just his ribs were showing. He was so malnourished, and he was a chocolate lab pit mix, we think. We don't really know for sure. But he was so sweet, and he like never barked, and he was such a loving dog. And when we had my son, he had a lot of pulmonary issues and trouble breathing and asthma, and we were going to Cincinnati Children's and trying to figure out what was going on with him. And so during that process, we made the really, really difficult decision that we needed to try to find a new home for our dog. He had a lot of dandruff and a lot of like pet dander and stuff that we thought was maybe affecting our son. And so unfortunately, you know, we made this post trying to rehome him, and I was really saddened because I saw that there were a couple of people that like commented on it, and they were like, like, these people are pieces of crap. Like, they're like, don't own a dog if you can't take care of it. You shouldn't be rehoming it. And I'm like, I was like so devastated when I saw those comments, because I'm like, I'm just trying to do the best that I can for my son, and I unfortunately have to put my son first.
And it's
in
not
this
like
moment
you got
in time.
him after you had your son. That's a frustrating thing too, is people will get puppies, and then once they're a year or 2 old and they're too hyper and they have kids that are 2 or 3 years old, they're like, oh, we have to get rid of our dog because they're not good around kids. And I'm like,
and like this person just jumped to a conclusion, and I'm like, first of all, we took this dog in and gave him a home, like he was a stray, and now we want him to have a better life because we can't provide the care that he needs or whatever because of our son having this issue. And so, long story short, it was a good ending. My coworker Hannah adopted him from us, like, free of cost. She basically just said, I just want Moosey. I love him.
He's so sweet.
And so now he has 2 brothers, and he's so happy. And he has like a half-acre yard that he runs around with his 2 other brothers in now. And
so don't judge people.
Yeah, I was going to say, so just understand that it's not always people that are so rude and quick to, like, just try to rehome an animal, and it's, I don't know, I just found that, like, personally kind of offensive in that moment, but I do understand that it's such a big crisis.
Get your dogs fixed. There's so many puppies. I used to foster for our help shelter, and I specifically said I just wanted puppies because we wanted to see how Bash would do with, like, before we got T-Bone, and we fostered a few different groups of puppies or whatever, and puppies are great, but then they end up going right back into the help shelter a year later because people don't want them anymore. And
they don't realize that it's like a lot of work.
It's so much cheaper to get your dog fixed than it is to let them be bred, and then you have to pay all your vet bills for your puppies, or people just go out in the country and dump them, and I'm like, they're not going to survive. They're going to get eaten.
I do think it's really sad too. So I work in a hospital setting, and I have a lot of patients that'll come in and they don't have any other family to take care of their pets.
Oh, that's another one.
And so I do think that that's a whole nother, like, I wish there was like a non-for-profit or an organization that would go in and like take those dogs that, like, their owner is in the hospital. They can't take care of their dog, and they don't have a neighbor or someone that's willing, to come in and take care of that pet, but like rehome them for a while.
It is
so
sad.
They can, there's such a need, and there's so many gaps to fill. And specifically regarding this submission, I mean, I I did read a few articles regarding this. There was a lady that came in and did an assessment and made some recommendations, and I think sending a portion of our stray dogs to Newcastle was part of that recommendation because our shelter wasn't big enough, like we couldn't hold enough.
Which is where a new shelter should be funded to.
Right, so I do understand the person's concern because I'm like, I mean, I think that they did acknowledge that there's an issue and they're trying to find, like, you know, different ways to go about it, but are they going about it in the correct ways? Maybe not.
Or it's not as mandatory of a need, so it's probably on the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
Which is why I thought for a second that across the street they were getting ready to build one because they tore down all those trees. Mm-hmm. No, it's WellCare.
Oh.
WellCare is going to, like, go away from where I was like, my sister, but I was like, oh, are they finally, like, this is, you know, and maybe they haven't announced it yet. No.
Yeah. Darn it.
They're not.
And, you know, the amount of police calls that are, like, 911 calls for stray animals and dogs, actually in Wayne County, is awful as well.
Oh, I'm sure it's, like, many a day.
I think I read on an article, it was, like, they got over, like, 5,000 calls just about
Maybe
dogs.
that's why, like, when I first moved into my house, our neighbor and I did not get along, and we had a chain link fence separating our backyards, which did not go well. And they would leave their dogs outside, and they had like a wiener dog and a chihuahua, which is not supposed to, it's not an outside dog.
Yeah.
And it would just sit out there and bark for hours and hours and hours. And I would call the animal control they even were on the phone. They were like, yeah, we can hear that. And they never once came. Mm-hmm. Never once to give them like a fine or like, you got to get your dog inside, which now they do after we had a war with them. But like, it's like, that was I don't know how it is now, but that was a frustrating thing at the time, is like, it's like whoever was in that position just didn't care.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we're not.
Well, I think they only have like one or two
person,
animal control people. So, and they're not 24 hours a day either.
What's that movie with Jim Carrey where he's like the animal?
Oh.
That's what I would be like.
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it.
I'm like, I'm here to help. What is that movie's gonna drive
It's not
insane?
Zoolander, is it?
No.
It's
I can't think of it, but that's what I would be like.
Yeah.
To help. So, although we don't know a ton about it, it is frustrating that it is becoming a bigger thing. I think if we were to get funds to get a larger, or for them to, I would say add on, but honestly, I think we just need a larger,
a completely new
because
facility
there's
too.
some that are like really nice where they have like heated floors for the dogs, and each dog has a quiet room. They're not just in these cages. And
ooh, you know what a building would be good is the Pal Item, that old building.
Yeah, but you would need grass for them to go out.
That's true too. But I'm sure that there could be a building that would be repurposed, and I do feel like
I don't know who to take this up to, who could take our video to share it up to. I mean, I don't know if it goes to a state level. I mean, you can only bug the mayor so many times,
right?
But is this something that needs to go to a state level to be like, this is a crisis in our town? Because
I do think a bigger shelter and more animal control personnel, both of those things need to happen.
At least like 2 on duty.
Yeah, because I cannot tell you how many times like police officers are being tied up with a dog call when you've got actual real other emergencies going on that they really should be attending to, but they're tied up on this, having to deal with an aggressive dog that's a stray, that's attacking a family or kids or whatever. And it's like there needs to be more awareness around that, I think, too, because, the allocated, we don't have enough allocation for that purpose, I don't think. And you're taking really important resources from one area that they need to be dealing with the stabbing, or they need to be dealing with whatever medical emergencies and stuff, and instead they're dealing with all these strays.
I think another cool option that locally could happen is with all of the dogs that are already in the help shelter, you have volunteers that come and they only get like maybe 1 or 2 walks a day, like if they're lucky. I think they should do a program where those that are in our current county jail could like those are obviously that are doing better in jail than, ones that could run.
Yeah.
And do a program where either they go pick up some dogs and take them inside the jail to have, like, they do that at prisons and other places.
Really?
Like,
That's kind of an interesting idea.
Or they take the prisoners out to that help shelter to walk them and play with all the different dogs for like a couple hours. And I think that is something that this town could look into, because it just makes me sad that dogs are just stuck.
That's kind of therapy for both.
Yeah.
The dog and the prisoner, essentially.
Yeah, or something of that sort to be able to. That would be a good one too. But anyways, we don't know who to take this up to, but you're more than welcome to share a video and get it to whoever you think that needs to see it, because it is a crisis in Wayne County and it does need to be handled correctly, and it's not being handled, and I feel like it is at the bottom of the list, and it needs to be in like the top 3 categories, because if not, we're going to end up like places like Honduras, where we're being taken over by stray dogs.
Yeah, it's
like stray cats that we are now. That's another issue.
Yeah, it is awful. And although Brooke and I don't know all the details that you mentioned, I don't think that we're as well informed as maybe you might be, the writer that wrote this in. I do think that we agree with you that it is a crisis. It needs to be addressed. And if you're from Wayne County or Richmond, if you want to drop some comments below and maybe enlighten us or just share some more information that you might have, feel free to. We want to be able to help the community, and anything that we can do to get that out there is better for everybody in the long run. We'd like to
help advocate if we can. So, hopefully this helped, and if not, we apologize, but we know, we get it, and we understand, and we're here to help advocate for you and for the animals. But make sure to follow us on our social medias platforms, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Dear Dilemma Official.
See you next time.
Bye.